takes the peak, sprays him down, that's 3! Fantastic play!
Magnus goes in, gets a couple with the RP, it's stolen by Rubik, he gets all 5! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Penguin ZA here with my co-caster for the entire morning now, Dib. So Dib, we've had quite a bit of Hearthstone. The next game that we're presenting everybody is Leeu versus Selfmoord, which is going to be pretty exciting, I foresee.
Yeah, this is round 3 of the winners bracket. So both of these players have been on a hot streak today.
Yep.
Selfmoord beating Apex in the first round, and then Tom in the second round of the winners bracket, and Leeu beating Carl and Skunksy in his first and second rounds, respectively.
Yeah. Just interestingly enough, we just received bans. Both players have banned shamans, so
So
I'm not
that's
surprised.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but I was looking at the matchups, and really this shaman is actually more of an aggro shaman. So I feel like Selfmoord really had options in that he had the control warrior and his shaman, which were good against the shaman. So he expects his shaman to be banned. I'm not at all surprised Leeu has banned the shaman. His lineup is very weak to the shaman. But I think that Selfmoord could have really gotten away with not banning the shaman and instead banning the hunter, because his shaman was his only real favorable matchup against the hunter. So now it leaves Selfmoord in a position where he has 2 sort of 50-50s in an unfavorable matchup versus the hunter. So that could land him in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, sorry, this just seems... Leeu's just told me that he banned Hunter, but it's fine. Nevertheless, we'll be able to see in-game...
Oh.
Yeah.
Leeu banned Selfmoord's hunter.
Yeah, apparently so. It's
Oh.
not an issue. Unfortunately, my Hearthstone has decided to crash. So we'll be getting in shortly. If you can just keep everybody updated, please, Dib, that'll be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not in the game either yet. I was looking at the matchups, and I'm really surprised he's banned the hunter though.
Apparently, I don't know how
that-
accurate it is, but we'll see shortly.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, sorry. So Selfmoord banned Leeu's hunter. I think that's what happened here.
Yeah.
Because Leeu is currently playing hunter. So okay, sorry. I thought you meant the other way around. I thought you meant that Leeu didn't ban the shaman. I was like, that would have been very surprising.
Okay, so Selfmoord is actually in fact banned Hunter, correct?
Yes. So okay,
Alright.
so that's what I kind of expected. You know, like I said, I think he has a counter for the shaman being the warrior, which is thankfully for him what he has queued into this first game. I think it's quite risky queuing the warrior at first if you don't know. If it's like the only counter you really have to the shaman, because if he beats your warrior with his druid, I mean, if you beat your warrior with any of his other decks, then you could be in trouble. But Selfmoord, I think, is hoping he might be able to sweep with the control warrior. I think that is a distinct possibility. And we see here Leeu has a really good opening hand. So he has the Tunnel Trog, Tuskar Totemic, and Totem Golem with a coin. So unsurprisingly, he is going for the coin Totem Golem, just because, you know, that's something that the warrior really is going to struggle to deal with.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm just getting vision of Selfmoord's hand.
Yeah, so
There we go.
his hand is a little bit awkward. He's really hoping to get a weapon early, as control warriors usually do. But he does have the bash, which is kind of nice to deal with this Tunnel Trog. He might opt to instead bash the Totem Golem to try and set up for a revenge, but it's a bit awkward.
He's also
Yeah,
just
I like
deciding
this
to play the
Acolyte
Acolyte.
Yeah,
It's also fine, I
um,
mean...
I mean, he's going to get a little punished by it because the Flame Tongue Totem or Rockbiter weapon are both pretty good here. But the idea is nice. The idea is that Leeu is most likely going to trade in with his 3-4, and then you can just bash it down. Because he needed 1 damage on the Totem Golem in order to make the trade.
Yeah.
And Leeu, in fact, is just going all face. This is definitely an aggro shaman from Leeu. We see Doomhammer still in the deck with 1 Rockbiter and 1 Flame Wreath Faceless. He is still running 2 Thunderbluff Valiants, and a thing from below, but that's really the only top end of his curve. So it's kind of like almost a hybrid deck, I would say.
Yeah.
Not all in on the face game plan, but still pretty heavily focused on that.
Yeah. All right. So looking at Leo's hand, I think Thing from the Below is actually a really strong player. It's pretty much on curve and can cause a few issues here for Selfmoord. And I mean, Leeu is able just to push so much more damage here. He's able to push another 4. Selfmoord already on 20, and we do see that there is the Doom Hammer.
Yeah, the Doom Hammer is really, or the Thing from Below is really nice because it sets up for the Doom Hammer on the following turn, which is probably ideally what he wants to do. But Selfmoord here has a really good clear for this Thing from Below. He manages to get the slam into the bash, and that also allows him to just get more resources with that Acolyte.
Yeah.
Just constantly hitting it up against that 1/1 Tunnel Shock.
I think at this stage you need to play the Doom Hammer, push quite a bit of damage face.
Well, I think with the Doom Hammer, you're probably going to clear the Acolyte with one of the charges.
Yeah.
Because you're really you push a little bit more damage face, more consistently over the next few turns by doing that.
Choosing
But
whether to
he
play the
might
Mana
also be.
Tide?
So I think he might be afraid of the Harrison Jones, which is in Selfmoord's Warrior. I think he's a little bit worried that he's not going to be able to win this game unless he gets the Rockbiter Doom Hammer combo. And I think he's being a little bit blinded by that. I feel like he's actually not very far ahead now, and he kind of needs to take that risk.
Yeah.
That combo is not in his hand. Ooh.
The Faceless
And that is
Shambler
one of the
only.
worst minions you can get from Ironforge Portal. Obviously, generally minions with a battle cry are going to be bad, and that's especially bad because its stats are usually based on its battle cry.
Yeah, most definitely. So it also puts Selfmoord in a bit of an awkward situation. It does allow him to slam, or shield slam, potentially the Totem Golem or the Mana Tide. It looks like he's gone for the Mana Tide.
Yeah, this is understandable because he wants to sort of just reduce the resources at the disposal of Leeu. I think he sees that that's how he's going to win this game. And now we see Leeu is probably just going to go for the Doom Hammer, which is essentially not accomplishing any more than it did last turn. Now he just needs it to get through the taunts all of a sudden. He's also not going to respect the Acolyte and just push face with the two, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Well, I mean, look, he's not killing Selfmoord in the next 2 turns, I don't think. Maybe with the Rockbiter if Selfmoord doesn't clear anything at all, but I think he has to expect either Selfmoord's going to gain some armor or clear something, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so Selfmoord has got... Oh, I was just about to say, he needs to play the Bloodhoof. But, I mean, it is pretty much easily answered with the Hex.
Yeah, the execute there is kind of smart. What it does is instead of armoring up where he would have gained 2 health and then lost 3, he just gained 3 essentially by killing the Tunnel Trog. And he made it much more difficult for Leeu to get through the the 2/6 taunts. And now Leeu is just, I think, considering his options. I think he probably just wants to hero power, hoping to get out the taunt totem again to protect his Totem Golem. That Totem Golem, having been on the board since turn 1 at this stage,
has done a lot of work.
Really done a lot of work, yeah.
It's done an insane amount of work. I mean, it's done about 18 damage on its own. So
yeah, something along those lines.
18 damage on its own. It's really
Yep, and there's the card that Leeu was sort of holding that Doom Hammer for, and he's being pretty heavily punished here, I think. I mean, Selfmoord's now in a position where he's going to have the answers to anything Leeu can sort of play. Leeu might here, I feel like Leeu might have to play the Azure Drake and the Lightning Storm to just try and hopefully get the synergy off, or he wants to just push face for as much as possible, but with very little sort of burn in his deck, he doesn't have he doesn't have Lightning Bolt or 5-mana one, Lava Burst.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that really pushing face is worth that much here. Maybe he thinks he can win over the next 2 turns with minions, but instead he's actually just activated the Revenge, whereas if he played the Azure Drake and the Lightning Storm, he could have not committed as heavily to the board and also cleared his opponent's side.
Yeah. Oh, release. Another thing
Yeah,
about
but no battle cry on that at least.
again, things about battle cries, man. All right.
Yeah,
So
but Lease is at least a well-statted minion, so that's okay. A 3/5 is pretty good for him. Yeah.
yeah. Question is, do you really want to overcommit to this board? Looks like
Well,
Leo
I
is.
mean, I don't think Leeu has much choice here. He has to try and commit to this board because he knows that with the resources that Selfmood has in his hand, he's not going to be able to win in the long game here.
Yeah, most
So
definitely.
Selfmood here, he might well consider the Justicar plus Hero Power and Shield Slam because that will deal with the 7/7. He might also consider the Brawl here. Um, he's got a lot of options. I mean, he can also just Hero Power, Blood to Ica, Shield Slam the Flaming Faceless, or Revenge and Shield Slam the Flaming Faceless. Yeah, you can get the Blood to Ica for the extra two as well. Oh, or you can just Blood to Ica, trade the Elise. I mean, we see this is the consequence of him getting 3 draws from the Acolyte initially, and then that allowing him to get into the Harrison and the draws from killing the Doomhammer. I would say that getting the 3 draws from the Acolyte is probably what's won him this game, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much so. I mean, he's sitting so comfortably ahead now, and I mean, if he really wants, he could take that Azure Drake as well for his own. But
Yeah,
Grom
I think
top.
that Leeu really didn't respect the way this battle goes. Like he needed to respect the resources that the warrior has. If the warrior has all their answers, then they're generally going to be able to deal with your deck. And quite frankly, like he played as if he just needed to get as much face damage in as possible. And even though this is an aggro shaman, that's not always the best answer.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, and we do see. Oh, I mean, overloaded for 4. I mean, is there
Yeah,
anything that's left in Leo's deck that could actually assist him in this matchup?
This feels pretty bad, man, and I can see him probably going for, oh yeah, with the Rag. That's a pretty easy option as well.
Rag is either going to go Smork or it's going to hit the 1/1. Ah.
Yeah, hitting the 1/1 isn't ideal, but at this stage, I'm not sure there's much that can go terribly wrong for Selfmoord or right for Leeu here.
Yeah.
Leeu is playing Hex, so that would be his best answer to the Ragnaros. Which might have meant that something like Brawl last turn would have actually been a possibility. He could have brawled and then possibly hit his opponent in the face with Grom. But, you know, he seems to value the Rag more. By playing the Rag, he also is sort of hopefully baiting a Hex to allow his Sylvanas to be more valuable in future turns.
Yeah. I wonder, you know, okay, so he is keeping his health total quite high. Is he able to clear the board? I think Selfmoord is sitting pretty comfortable. I honestly don't think there's any way that, especially with it sniping out the 2/3. I think the best answer there would have most likely have been the going face.
The way that Selfmood loses this game right now is by going into fatigue. That is, I believe, the only way he's going to lose.
Did he just forget to attack?
Yeah, with the 2/2, yeah. That's huge. 2 damage is huge in this like fatigue race against the tank up.
Yeah, most definitely. But I don't even think it's going to come to that. I think at this stage,
No, but I mean, like his only out is the fatigue plan.
Yeah.
Like he can keep dodging the Rag to face with totems. Never mind. Although in this scenario, that was probably better that he didn't, because now he can play the Thunderbluff Valiant, Hero Power, and then Maelstrom Portal, and push a fair bit of damage to face. Or he can Rockbiter to push some even more damage to face, and that's just the totem he wants to see as well. I really wouldn't mind the Rockbiter here, but I think he just wants to try and get what he can on board. Even though this is likely to be the point where Selfmood's going to consider the Brawl, I think.
No, most definitely. I think the only real player is actually considering the Brawl. You don't really mind what actually happened or what the outcome is.
It's just the Thunderbluff Valiant you don't really want to survive, but you can still deal with it with the shield weapon. I mean the armor up and the shield slam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he needs to play Golden Monkey here because he needs to start getting... He needs to turn the second Brawl and some of his other cards into legendaries, because He is like quite far ahead or behind, depending on how you look at it, in the fatigue race.
Yeah.
So he needs to start applying pressure, and none of the cards in his hand at the moment will apply pressure to Leeu.
So you see the Tuskar Totemic, as well as another Totem Call. I mean, at this stage, Selfmoord is just really just loading up the field. Do you just play the
Yeah.
ball here?
So the brawl is definitely a consideration. You do ideally want to turn it into a legendary, though. And this is okay because really you're only just leaving a 3-2 on board, pretty much. So yeah, that kind of works out pretty well for him. The Hex is nice here. I don't think you're gonna get. I don't think you can afford to be greedy. You just want to sort of slow the warrior down here.
Yeah.
As weird as this seems, it's almost turned into a case where the shaman is now the control deck.
Yeah.
And the
Interestingly
warrior
enough,
is now the aggro deck because the warrior is under the clock of fatigue to win this game.
And
Having already
interestingly
used
enough,
Grom, they don't have the burst.
okay, what is card has just been played? Is that Gorehal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I've got the little visual bug again.
Yeah, that again.
I've got the
It's
visual
always
bug.
happened to one of us.
It's
But yeah,
fine.
so the Gorehal's pretty nice because it allows him to clear the minions. The Spirit Claws is really awkward here, but he's guaranteed to get the Taunt Totem, which is pretty good here. And then he can just ping face, hit with the weapon because he's already got another weapon in hand. And these weapons are adding a decent clock. Although, there we go, this double Ravaging Ghoul is definitely the kind of thing Selfmoord's looking for here. It's sort of the only way left in his deck he had to clear the board here, other than Brawl and then having to kill one of the totems with his weapon, which he doesn't really want to do.
Exactly. I think he really wants to maybe roll spell damage.
Yeah, for Leeu, if he rolls the spell damage, yeah, it's huge. Otherwise, he might have to Rock Biter and trade into the 3-3.
I think you need to Rogue Biter and trade into the 3.
Because you're taking the 3-3 the damage anyway. Okay. So Leeu is once again committing to face quite heavily. But I think it's going to be difficult for him to win the fatigue war, but I think that's the only way he does win. Well, those cards are not going to heal him. He's not going to have any spells to play for. But Herald Village is pretty good there. Another 1/1 taunt is not insignificant.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, Leeu
Just minions on board, yeah. Now,
there's nothing else.
Selfmoord has lethal on board, I'm pretty sure. So it's just a case of, like, if he had the Lightning Storm, but I think we've already seen both Lightning Storms. So in the end, Selfmoord managing to finish out this game.
Yeah. Obviously, possibly just drawing it out a little bit more that, well, you know, Leeu continually fighting this battle. But unfortunately, I think maybe there was a chance that he could have come back. But I think it
I
goes
think
back,
it was if
it
he
goes
got
back
really
right to the
dead
beginning.
legendaries like a Nat Pagel and a Law Witcher, stuff like that as well. I think that would have hurt him. That could have bought Leeu 1 or 2 more turns. I'm not 100% sure what was left in Leeu's deck. So I don't think there was much of value. Yeah, there was an Ardent Squire, I think, which wouldn't have been all that useful. Yeah, there was another Hex. I think another Manatide Totem, but that would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Leeu didn't have much. He just needed to hold on until he could hope the fatigue killed Selfmoord. But really, once again, I think that game came down to Leeu not respecting the Acolyte of Pain in the early game and giving Selfmoord all the answers he needed for that matchup. I think that was probably the big glaring error that I would sort of judge this game by.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a Warrior versus Warrior. This is Leeu's control. Dragon Warrior?
Yeah, Dragon Warrior, yeah.
Dragon Warrior and Selfmoord does have the control. If Leeu gets off to a really good start here, it can be difficult for Selfmoord to bring it back.
Yeah, one of the best cards for Dragon Warriors in this matchup is just the Fairy Dragon. And he can test for his opponent's Fiery War Axe with the Alexstras's champion first. And if the champion isn't cleared, with the War Axe, then you can be pretty sure that there isn't a War Axe, and then the Fairy Dragon can really do a lot of work.
No, most definitely. So we're going to see a coin. We're going to see the bash come out. So
Yeah,
I think
this is
that's more evidence that there is actually nothing there. Sorry, if you could just give me 1 second, I'll be back shortly.
sure. So using the bash there
Microphone
is
muted.
very clean for Selfmoord's perspective, but now he doesn't really have any good answer for this Fairy Dragon. He's probably just going to have to play the Ravaging Ghoul just to contest on board. Unfortunately for him, he is going to be punished a bit by the War Axe and the Bloods Ica. It's probably the best trade Leeu's going to get for his War Axe, and hopefully he understands how
Microphone
important
activated.
this Fairy Dragon is versus the Warrior. The Warrior having no real way to interact with the Fairy Dragon, bar another Ravaging Ghoul here, or the Revengers, is going to mean the Fairy Dragon can do a lot of work.
Exactly. We do see the Blood of Brave that's actually been picked up now. But Selfmoord, does he consider playing it, or there was either that or the Elise?
Yeah, the Blood of Brave is really nice because the Elise can be traded into with the 2/2 and the weapon, whereas the Blood of Brave forces the Fairy Dragon trade. So by playing the Blood of Brave, you're essentially ensuring that you kill the Fairy Dragon.
Yeah. Question is like Twilight Guardian or the Azure
not to attack here. I like the Twilight Guardian simply because it's not going to have taunt after this turn if you play the Drake and you don't draw another dragon. The Drake also gets better later in the game, plus he still has another Blood to Ica, which can synergize with the Drake a bit. So I really like the Twilight Guardian there.
As a Drake into another, Alex Strauss's champion, I think same thing. You just really want to just push face here. There's no real trades that you want to do.
Yeah, there's nothing favorable, so it's probably better to just go face, force your opponent to make the trades. The slam here is pretty nice for Selfmoord. It allows him to make a good trade and then play the Elise if he wants, which is probably what he wants to do just to get some more presence on board. Leeu, interestingly, is only playing one Ravaging Ghoul, so that makes this 4-1 a lot less vulnerable.
Yeah. However, he does actually play in Zoth's first mate, so it does also give him an option to actually get rid of the 4-1. It's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do here.
I like in Zoth's first mate and then using the weapon to hit the Elise. Maybe you execute the Elise, or at least if you're going to use the execute, I think this is the nicer way to do it, and then trade the 2/2 into the 3/5 into the 4-1. Whereas this way, if he executes the 3/5. He's now just taken one more damage to face because he hit a 4-1 rather than hitting a 3/5.
Yeah.
And it hasn't actually made any difference. So he simply took one damage extra to face for no reason.
Yeah. So fortunately taking one extra damage to face, I don't think it's going to play too much of a difference, the one damage.
Yeah, generally not against Control Warrior, but it's still... It shows Leeu definitely has some room to improve, not respecting the Acolyte in the last game, and in this game just making a slight error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so question is, do you play Rag?
Yeah. So Grom is like you're giving him the execute activator as well as giving him the option of having execute, if you know what I mean. Whereas this way around, you might kill off the 3/5, and then he doesn't actually have a way to necessarily activate execute. Yeah, which he does draw, but he would have had to draw. He would have had in 5 cards to have execute plus a Ravaging Ghoul or a Revenge or a Blood to Ica, which he only has one Blood to Ica in his deck. He's played one Ravaging Ghoul, so the chances were not that high. So it was definitely the better percentage play. Unfortunately for Leeu, it hasn't really worked out for him though.
Sir Finley, you definitely play Sir Finley. You're really going to look for another hero power. Your armor up is really not going to help you in this matchup.
Yeah, you might be looking for life tap or something, but I think you're probably going to trade the Grom into the 4-1-2. Okay, so he doesn't want to trade. I think if you're going to do this, you should definitely play the Sir Finley first. Because life tap is good, and you might not want to play the Grom because there's a lot of things you can life tap into there. There's only one card in his deck, being Curator, that he wouldn't have been able to play if he went live tapping there.
Yeah.
So I think that was a bit of an incorrect ordering from Leeu there. I mean, we see it's probably not going to be punished that much by it, but I would have also liked him to kill the Acolyte. Selfmoord is once again low on resources, and killing the Acolyte with the Grom feels pretty good because you're forcing him to have another execute, and you currently don't see any executes. Unfortunately for Leeu, Selfmoord gets the shield block, which is the exact sort of card he needed in order to be able to shield slam this Grom.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
he could have. The reason he attacked into the Grom was because he had the option of using Fiery War Axe plus the Shield Slam armor up Shield Slam and then Fiery War Axe to clear it. But the shield block was obviously much cleaner, and he knew he still had them in deck, so it was very good sequencing, sort of maximizing the chance of getting the best possible outcome there from Selfmoord.
Yeah. So Leeu also deciding not to go face, and I think Selfmoord is going to be stabilizing from this point.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for him. He can play the Rag, which honestly either targeted hits is okay. He can play the Grom as well, and just clear the board. I mean, he needs his opponent, or his opponent needs to have exactly Execute in hand to deal with this Grom, which he does, but it's still not leaving him in the best position. But the Warlock hero power here is really huge. And I would definitely have liked to have seen Leeu use the hero power before he played there, because he could have still drawn like Curator, which would have meant that you don't play the Execute probably, you just play the Curator, which would have traded with the Grom.
Yeah.
Or
So
not
we're going to
traded with
see.
the Grom, sorry.
So we're going to see Rag come down. I think the best target here for Leeu is obviously just to go face.
Yeah. For Leeu's perspective, yeah. He wants to try and keep minions on board.
Although it does allow him to actually tap, and I definitely like to see the fact that he's tapping first here.
Yeah.
And we're going to
he
see
recognizes that this time.
Frothing. I think you also go face here with the axe. I don't see a reason that you don't. I mean, if
the
you
question
pick
is Selfmoord tempted to brawl? I think now with the War Axe you might be tempted to brawl. You can Blood to Ichor, one of the frothings, and then you could brawl and War Axe. I mean, you're using a lot of resources, and the Rag might be just more tempting to keep on the board. But there is some chance for like a Ravaging Ghoul top deck kind of thing that would
The menagerie is for guests only.
So we
make
do see the
these-
fact that he is using the Curator. Ooh, do you make it even more tempting of the...
Yeah, I think you play the Fierce Monkey here. Because if you weren't going to play the Fierce Monkey, you probably should have tapped before. Well, actually, no, because you didn't want to draw a Fierce Monkey, so it was fine to not tap.
Okay.
But-
Oh, we do see the Gore Howl. Does this change your
Yeah.
play at all?
I think the ball is still looking tempting to me, personally. Because if this hits face, you're in a bit of trouble. Because he has 10 damage, and he needs like Ravaging Ghoul plus Corcoran Elite. That would be lethal, or that is also lethal. Yes. So Corcoran Elite to face with the Blackwing and the double Frothings to face is lethal.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
So there we go. Leeu does actually see it as well, and that is going to seal...
Yeah, and ultimately Selfmoord got punished by those Frothing Ghouls. Like, whilst you usually don't want to brawl when you have your own Rag on the board, it really could have worked out for him just to keep the board clear. He would have needed to draw some other threats to actually win this game, though. And it's very understandable why he didn't go for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Siffinley also in the Warrior, in Leeu's Dragon Warrior made a huge difference there. Giving him the life tap, it just gave him the resources to keep going in that game and to eventually find himself in a board state where he could push for the lethal damage.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, so we tied up the series 1-1. Leeu's Warriors gone, and so is Selfmoord. I think I've actually just ticked the wrong ones. So, yeah, that's my apologies. Leeu has still got his Warrior. He doesn't have his Shaman.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Leeu now it will be his Dragon Warrior, and I think Selfmoord will probably pick his Hunter into this because that's probably the best matchup for him, and then that would leave him with just his Beast Druid. I mean, not Beast Druid, sorry. He named it Beast Druid, but it is actually the Malagos Druid. Uh, yeah, I knew that was going to catch me out eventually. I've been trying not to look at the names. Ah, damn you, Selfmoord.
Um.
Um, the Malagos Druid versus the Warlock, and well, yeah, it's a Zoo. So Leeu has Zoo and his Dragon Warrior, which he has to play here left, and he has decided to just instantly keep this whole hand, by the looks of it. So keeping the Draconoid Crusher is questionable. You really want something like an Alexstrasza's Champion or a Warax here. If the Fairy Dragon was actually an Alexstrasza's Champion, I would have been totally behind keeping the Draconoid. But in this matchup, the Draconoid is just too slow, and um, yeah, it's pretty awkward, especially against stuff like Freezing Trap that are in the Secret Hunter.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, so now Liu's got to think that that could be just about. He's going to test it. He's going to see that it's freezing. He's going to get rid of it. Question is, what do you play now?
This is an awkward position, but I think you probably, from our perspective, we know that he needs to play the Fairy Dragon, or he's not going to be able to trade with this Secret Keeper the turn after. And I think Leeu should recognize that there's a definite chance that Selfmoord plays in the Secret next turn. I mean, this is the Nightmare turn where he plays the Secret and the Cloaked Huntress, but there's still definitely some options here. But yeah, I like this play. What he's doing is trying to set up for the Ravaging Ghoul, or yeah, to play it this turn. He doesn't kill the Secret Keeper this way, but now that he has Execute in hand, he doesn't have to be too worried about the Secret Keeper getting out of hand.
Yeah, it isn't going to allow Selfmoord to push 5 damage, but I mean, at this stage, I don't think it's still a little bit early to worry about things like that. I mean, you're just trying to gain
The
a
5
board.
damage is definitely relevant though in this matchup because both players want to be using all their resources as much as possible, and they really don't want to have to hero power. So Leeu is unlikely to hero power over the next few turns, meaning that the damage you get is not just going to be sort of countered by Leeu hero powering, whereas Selfmoord is much happier to hero power because he's more likely to be the aggressive player in this matchup.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And
Selfmoord, getting Misha is actually not a bad target for him.
yeah, Misha's pretty good. The Blackwing Corruptor here is a little bit awkward because the 3 damage doesn't really clear. This is where he would have maybe preferred, like if that was a Leok, it would be a really good situation here for Selfmoord. Instead, he checks to make sure that isn't another Freezing Trap, although he's already checked for that.
Checking if there's any like Snake Trap or anything like that potentially.
Well, he already attacked into the 3/4 earlier, so he knows it's not any of the minion attack traps. But yeah.
He also knows it's not Snipe.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so we're going to see Azure Drake come down. You just clear, and you also clear one of the hyenas with your Bloodjaker.
Yeah, I like this really. You just want to keep the board clear as much as you can. You've got the sort of resource advantage at this point with sort of 4 cards to the hunter's 3. So yeah, I mean we can see a very awkward position for Selfmoord where he has the rag and the explosive trap, but he still hasn't used his or hasn't managed to get his other explosive trap activated.
So you just see the Snake Trap, and unfortunately no Ravaging Ghoul here for Leeu to actually deal with it.
The snake trap here does mean that the Zerdrake is probably going to be used to clear one of the 1/1s, which means that the explosive trap is not going to be procced yet, which means Selfmoord's still sitting with the awkward explosive trap in hand. Although next turn I just expect him to play a rag anyway.
Again, life tap? No, you don't. I don't know.
No, you can't take life tap now. It's. I think you probably take Totemic Call. Okay, so he opts for the rogue hero power. It's a little bit awkward because you obviously have weapons in your own deck, but it's on the other hand, it's also a case of if you can use it to accrue damage over a few turns. Okay, that's yeah, that's gonna be game because there's just nothing Leeu can do to heal up here. And Selfmoord went for the 1 and 4 there to just set up the guaranteed win, and he got it. So, you know, with no way of Leeu healing up and Selfmoord just being able to hit that hero power next turn, we've really seen the strength there of the hunter versus the Dragon Warrior.
I'm sorry. I find it so funny how Selfmood so quickly just decided to play. You know what? Let's just go rag, yellow rag, and it paid off for him so well there. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen somebody drop a Ragnaros so quick in my life before.
Yeah, I don't think there was really much other option for him there. I think that even if it hit a minion, it really wasn't a bad situation for him. He'd already seen one execute, and his opponent was low on resources. So I think it was a pretty good scenario, a pretty easy drop. Oh, okay. And Leeu has, by mistake, it looks like, queued his Shaman into Selfmoid's Hunter.
Yeah.
Because his Shaman was, of course, banned. So we're gonna, the only deck he can still queue is his Zoolock, which I expect to be favored against the Hunter. His Zoo also has one Acidic Swamp Ooze in. It's the non-discard version.
Yeah.
No Doom Gods. It's playing Gormark and Leroy with double Sea Giant.
Yeah.
So yeah, with only one Soulfire, double PO, and playing one Acidic Swamp Ooze, which is pretty important against the Hunter, because one of the ways that Hunter can really run away with the game against Zoo is by getting lots of charges on the Eaglehorn bow, with which it can use to control the board.
Yeah. So Leeu doesn't have a really fast hand. He's got, only 2 drops. He would have liked a 1 drop and potentially start curving out. But I mean, he's still not sitting in a really bad position here.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward as to what 2 drops you want to play. Probably Peddler, although because Peddler is the least weak to a lot of the secrets that your opponent might play on 2. It's also the least weak to coin Eaglehorn Bow or coin any of the 3 drops, really.
Yeah.
So I feel that that's a little bit of a mistake from Leeu in playing the Knife Juggler. He might have done it because he wanted to be able to play Knife Juggler. To play Voidwalker plus Dark Peddler to get the extra juggles next turn.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this matchup, it's probably safer to play the Peddler on 2 there. Or would have been safer.
Yeah. So Selfmood's still got a couple of options here. I mean, he does have Bear Trap, he does have Snipe, he also has the Quick Shot, if need be. So he's got some options available. He can clear the board this turn, but he's really not going to maximize the Eaglehorn Bow. And I think the Bear Trap is really good, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the Bear Trap. You should get a 3/3 that your opponent can't trade with. We see that he could play Direwolf Alpha and attack face, but from Leo's perspective, this is also likely to be an explosive trap. Selfmood's deck has 1 Bear Trap and 2 explosive in it, so he knows that this is most likely an explosive trap, so I expect him to attack first, and then he's going to find out the bad news. It's actually Bear Trap, and now Selfmood has a decent way to deal with the taunt in the Voidwalker and also push through to kill the Knife Juggler. Because he's got, the extra charge on the bow as well as the 3/3 minion.
Yeah. Okay, so we do see the Direwolf. Oh, the Juggle actually going his way, but the question is, do you trade? I think you do.
Yeah, I think you do because you're afraid of Houndmaster. Although, wait, no, sorry, there's no Houndmaster in Selfmood's deck. So he has one of those situations where knowing deck lists is quite important. Knowing that there's no Houndmaster in the deck, he chooses not to trade. We see that he gets a little bit punished by that because obviously the quick shot picking off the Direwolf Alpha means that the Grizzly Bear manages to survive.
Oh, are we going to see the Lowly Squire get sniped?
Probably. The Lowly Squire is tempting here, even if you don't expect this or aren't too worried about the snipe. We might see him trade here and play Gorhal. Gorhal is tricky for the warrior for the hunter to deal with because the 3 damage on the bow doesn't really match up well with Gorehal's 4 HP. And I don't think you're necessarily expecting to get that much value from the Gorehal later on. But yeah, so he opts for the tap here instead. Oh, sorry, Gorma. Yeah. Gores, they're all the same.
So all
Gorehal can totally impale you too. Or we see the Huffer, which is probably the best one for him to get there with nothing on board.
It's the best
only really
companion to
Misha
get
or
ever.
No, not always. There's definitely times when I would rather have Misha.
Okay, but on a clear
And
board,
definitely times I would rather have Leo. Yeah. On an empty board, it's definitely the best. Yeah.
Selfmoord deciding not to go face with the
weapon.
Weapon. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean he knows that the way that Leeu is going to get back into this game is by generating a board, and he values keeping the weapon as a way to maybe keep his Huffer around a bit longer, which will essentially gain him more damage in the long run. We can see now he recognizes that he has a lot of damage in hand with another Eaglehorn bow, and he can play the Cloaked Huntress here and really put a lot of pressure on his opponent. He's going to get a little punished by this because of the Defender of Argus. The Defender of Argus is really pretty good here. He can clear the 3-4 off and clear off the Huffer, and he leaves himself with a pretty good board. He's still under a bit of time pressure because he's really in a situation where he can't tap very much now. So he might choose to clear off the Huffer and go face with the 4-3 because the 3-4 wouldn't have really been able to get through anyway, whereas now you expect the bow to clear off the 3-1 and then Selfmoord to probably just play Curator. Or he might actually opt here to play Explosive and Hero Power because he recognizes that this game is not going to last that long. He doesn't need to draw cards with the Curator. He just needs to start getting damage in, and he needs to be hitting that Hero Power button every turn. And this way he sets up basically an extra turn. Interesting that he doesn't opt to play the bow. I mean, he had 3 mana there. There's no reason not to play the bow. He's guaranteeing himself another charge on the bow by playing it first instead.
He might be worried about the acidic swamp ooze that he's actually in.
Oh yes, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Leeu's acidic swamp ooze is definitely probably the only reason for Selfmoord to keep the bow there. Although, if he plays the bow and Leeu doesn't have acidic swamp ooze, which he probably hasn't had in hand this whole time yet, otherwise he would have played it, then the Call of the Wild would have been lethal with the Eaglehorn bow. And now the Call of the Wild is not lethal with the Eaglehorn bow. And he's extending the amount of time it's going to take him to get lethal even more here by playing the Curator. So I really would have preferred this turn as well. Well, actually, yeah, he has to play the Curator here. So I actually think Selfmoord is maybe going to lose this game almost entirely because of not playing that Eaglehorn bow.
That kind of makes sense.
Otherwise he would have set up a position where he could have had lethal. And we see here as the nerf to Call of the Wild is also a factor. So he's going to play Call of the Wild this turn, probably. But he is not in a position where he can Hero Power and Call of the Wild next turn, or not that he's going to get there. Yeah, and Selfmoord's managed to lose this game. I think just taking the risk on the Eaglehorn bow would have been okay. I mean, you definitely would have seen the Swamp Ooze if he had it already, basically.
Is there any way that you can survive here?
He would have needed to top deck it, and it was about a 1 in 20, 1 in 18 chance. Sorry. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But he still fishes with the King's Elic. There's no harm in trying here. The best card he could have got, like if it was still in his deck and he hadn't played it, would have been Curator just because it's Taunt, but even that wouldn't have been enough. I mean, the best he can do is really put his opponent to 1. I don't believe there's any way for him to... He might play the Freezing Trap and hope his opponent misplays. Just play the trap But yeah, Selfmoord, you know, not taking the risk there of the acidic swamp ooze, and instead playing around the card in Leeu's zoo, and I think that really just cost him that game there.
In the end, it actually did cost him the game.
Yeah.
It's
He might have
unfortunate
also
there.
been respecting Leeu's Leroy, but I don't think it was near lethal then.
No, unfortunately, he was nowhere near lethal then. But I think Selfmoord just respecting a card a bit too much,
Yeah.
and playing around it completely did actually cost him there. But
We see this as one of the biggest problems, or the biggest traps you can have with revealed deck lists. You know, people say you can't bring tech cards and stuff as much because of revealed deck lists. But actually what happens sometimes is your opponent plays around a card that they shouldn't necessarily play around. You know, 1 in 30 in your deck. And in that case, it was probably about a 1 in 18 for him to draw.
I think it was a 1 in 18 at that stage.
Yeah, so really, you should basically not play around that because he can't tap to draw it because he's in a situation where he was on 6, and if you hit him with the bow, he goes to 3. So he can't tap, or he just dies to the hero power. So that was a very, very interesting game, and I think Selfmoord will probably realize his mistake. Hopefully, it doesn't let him. Hopefully, he doesn't tilt here.
Selfmoord choosing to coin out the wild growth. Generally, you would do that if you had a player for turn 3. But unless you're just trying to really ramp up so you can get to your bigger minions, it would make sense as well.
Yeah, I think that the idea there for Selfmoord is that he just wants to be able to deal with the board. He doesn't want to have a turn where he does nothing. So by playing out the wild growth on 1, it gives him more options for the run. I mean, he does have the Wrath here plus the Raven Idol to have as like plays this turn, and he's probably going to Wrath. Yeah, so by Wrathing the 1/3, what he's doing is setting up for better swipes in the future.
Yeah.
He can swipe and Moonfire. He can swipe and he could set up a hero power this turn as well. But this is a very nice Feral Rage turn instead. Just clearing off the Imgang boss is probably one of the cleanest answers that the Druid has for the Imgang boss.
Interestingly enough, I'm just going back to the fact that Leeu has got 18 damage in hand.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even notice the extra power overwhelming. I was so focused on the choose one options from Selfmoord.
Choose one option, but you know, if you have a look there, there's 18 damage in hand.
And we see Selfmoord's going to be a bit punished by not using the Feral Rage here, in a sense, in that, like, if Leeu can generate more damage on board, then having so much burst in hand, it is going to take him until at least turn 6 before he could really use it all, because he could play 2 Power Overwhelmings next turn and then Leroy Power Overwhelming on turn 6, which I believe would set up lethal as the board's state is now.
Yeah.
But Selfmoord, if you know, by keeping the Feral Rage, that also helps. So that's 18. Yeah, and by clearing the 3/1 here, he just leaves the 1/1. So Leeu might be tempted to double PO this turn and play out some other minions. It's definitely tempting. It is right before your opponent's possible Ancient of War, which we see one of in Selfmoord's deck. So we'll see whether Leeu is going to respect that or not. He's opting not to. I mean, we see Selfmoord also does have Moonglade Portal and Feral Rage. So he had double heal in hand. He also had 1 Moonglade Portal naturally in the deck that we've seen him draw, and he had 2 Feral Rages in the deck. So, you know, Leeu probably just doesn't want to go all in and would rather have the surprising 18 burst from hand rather than making it obvious that Selfmoord needs to heal.
Oh, unfortunate that he does pick up the Kodo Rider and not having enough mana.
Yeah. I was going to say, I wouldn't call the Kodo Rider unfortunate usually. That card is really good here.
Kodo Rider is really good.
He's definitely going to have to use one of the POs to trade, because Kodo Rider is just so much value against Zoo. Generating 3/5s, those are really difficult bodies for Zoo to deal with. And, so he's just going to go face and not respect the Kodo Rider here, I think. Yeah, so he wants to set up for the lethal, which... Oh, okay. So that's just an error from I mean, it doesn't really matter because he was never going to be able to get the buff on the 1/1 anyway because the 5/5 wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting that he chose to sequence it like that.
All right. Feral Rage
And we
for
see
armor?
Selfmoord with a lot of heal in hand here. 16 plus yeah, 22 heal, but he hasn't quite respected the burst that Leeu has, and Leeu has 14 here plus the 3. So Leeu actually has lethal here, even though Selfmoord has another 14 heal in hand, and Selfmoord, I imagine, is going to be pretty upset with this position. You know,
There's the Dark
the
Peddler.
third PO, yeah. So Leeu was smart not to play the Dark Peddler PO. So you know, setting up a position where he could win with this Leroy, this huge Leroy, and yeah, that's a pretty rough loss because
It really is a
Selfmood's going to
rough.
feel really bad having so much heal in hand. But that was a matchup he was kind of expected to lose. He was sort of unfavored in that matchup, you know, and the Zoo managing to sort of get the wins that Leo needed there. So I believe
Exactly.
that's Leo winning 3-2, right?
Yep, that is
Yeah.
a victory to Liu 3-2, and he's going to proceed further into this tournament, guaranteeing himself at least cash money from this win. Just so everybody else knows, there's no other results currently available from what I can see. But basically what this means is
I
that...
believe Zaymok won his game and Apex lost his. Those are the only two results I know of. So that means Bloodsloth beat Apex and Zaymok beat Major Pain. So in the next round of the lower bracket, we'll see Zaymok versus Bloodsloth. And yeah, those are the only results I have for you.
Interesting. All right, so in terms of this result, Liu does go further on. It does mean that he is guaranteed at least, I think it's 4th or 3rd. Either way, he's guaranteed money by doing this. Proceeds further on. Jacques is still going to have to fight his way through a long loser bracket. If I'm not mistaken,
he's guaranteed
I think
third.
Pandemonia was dropped out quite early on as well last year.
Yeah, so there's definitely hope for everyone in the lower bracket still.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, yeah, we saw Pandemonia come from the lower bracket to
I think it was
win
the
against
second round.
Grays.
I think it was the
Yeah.
second round of the losers bracket that he had to fight through from there, right the way through, and he ended up winning in the finals. So
Yeah, so there's definitely hope for all those still in. But you know, Liu taking out Skunksy and Selfmoord, it's really doing well for himself. I would say he was a bit of an underdog coming into this tournament. Not really one of the sort of top 8 players I would have picked, or top 4 players I would have picked to make it this far. But he's done really well, and brought sort of a bit of an off-meta zoo. We've seen a lot of people bringing the more the discard lock zoo synergy type of decks that we saw earlier, but you know, it really worked out for him, and a little bit unfortunate that Selfmood didn't really respect that possible burst. But you know, I think Liu improved in those games. A little bit of a shaky start against the Control Warrior, but you know, in the end, managing to bring it through.
yeah, so he's going to take the win 3-2, move on further. I would love to know what the result is between Gas and Pandemonia. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, what is going to be happening now is that after this round, there is a considerable break that is going to be happening. We are returning back at 3:30, which is an hour and a half from now, if I'm not mistaken, if I can math correctly. Yeah, it's an hour.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half from now. So the next games we'll only be bringing you is after the lunch break, and as soon as we are back. We're not 100% sure which game we'll be bringing you. We might be bringing you guys one of the lower bracket games, or potentially the winner bracket game that's going to be happening. But as soon as we know, we will post it in chat and let everybody else know. So we'll see you guys.
Sorry, I just got one quick result through. It seems that Gas beat Pandemonia.
Oh.
So it looks like it's going to be Gas versus Liu in that winners bracket game. And then Pandemonia and and Selfmoord are going to be dropping into the lower bracket.
Yeah.
So they'll be dropping into lower bracket round. I think there's still one more lower bracket round that needs to take place.
Yeah, so Bloodsloth Zaymok result has actually come through now. So Bloodsloth has knocked out Apex 3-0, and Zaymok beat Major Pain 3-2. Still waiting to find out about Skunksy and Slider. That game is actually a really, really good one. Probably, going to be very, very close. And then obviously Tom and Erida. Excuse me, guys. So basically, after the lunch break, we'll be bringing you guys another game, either from the winners bracket round 4, I think it is, or the loser bracket round 3.
It's round 4 of the tournament, which is winners bracket. Yeah, it's the 4th round of the winners bracket and the 3rd round of the losers bracket essentially. But we'll see which game is going to be the best to pick there. But so far we know that the winners bracket game will be between Gas and Leeu.
Yeah.
And we know that Bloodsloth will be playing Zaymok.
Yeah. All right, guys. So thanks for sticking around. We'll see you guys a lot later, though, in about an hour and a half's time. At 3:30, we will bring the next game. So go fill your tummies, go and stretch, do what normal human people do as well.
Sorry, I see there's some more results in.
Oh, there's some
Once
more
again,
results.
as we're trying to leave. So now we know the full next round. It looks like Slider beats Skunksy 3-0, and Eridar beats Tom 3-0. So it's going to be Slider versus Eridar, Bloodsloth versus Zaymok, and then it looks like it will be Gas versus Leeu in the winners bracket game.
Yeah.
And then, so the winner of the Bloodsloth Zaymok game will play, I think, will play Selfmoord, and the winner of the Slider Eridar game will play Pandemonia, if I understand these brackets correctly.
Yeah, that is exactly how it will be working. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back at about 3:30, bringing you the next game. So please go and get a rest, go and stretch, and we'll see you guys in about an hour and a half's time. Enjoy.
Cool. Cheers.